Hello everyone, welcome back. Mr. A here again, getting ready to do our next first round matchup. I botched my first attempt at this, so this is my second attempt. So on my first attempt I was able to put the winner up from yesterday's matchup, and as you can see, our winner from yesterday was A Bad Case of Stripes. I believe our voting was 14 votes for A Bad Case of Stripes and 6 votes for the name jar. So A Bad Case of Stripes moves on to the second round. Our matchup today on the other side of the bracket is Salt in His Shoes and Waiting for Pumpsie. So Waiting for Pumpsie, I do have the hard copy. However, Salt in His Shoes, I do not have a hard copy, so we have to improvise a little bit today. But we should be able to do that. Like I said before, my first attempt at this video, I did actually show myself taking the glue stick and posting our winner up there, and did that live. Well, I guess not technically live, but I tried to do it live for you guys. However, I botched my first attempt, like I said. So now we are going to do a Salt in His Shoes as our next first round matchup. So hopefully this one goes smoother, and I'll be able to post this video shortly. So let me get set up just a moment here. See, like I said, I'm improvising. I have it on my screen over here so I can read the book since I don't have the hard copy. I did order it, it just did not come in yet. So I'm going to try to get you guys set up so you can see every page and hear me as well. So Salt in His Shoes by Dolores Jordan and Rosalind M. Jordan. This is another AR book. I think I failed to mention yesterday that both of our books yesterday, A Bad Case of Stripes and The Name Jar, were both AR books. So students and parents, if your children have the AR link, the Accelerated Reader link from their school, they can log in and take AR tests. During regular school hours, they should be able to log in and take those tests. Some schools do have the capability, like my son's school pays extra each year to have the ability for students to test at home. Most schools don't do that in my experience, just because it costs more and is not equitable for everybody to take the same amount of AR tests. But again, both of those books yesterday are AR. So they can take the quizzes on those and get the points. Salt in His Shoes is also another AR book. Waiting for Pumpsie, I'm not sure. I've never read that book, so I'm not exactly sure. I've never had my students take that test. However, if you look it up and it is, then fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and start Salt in His Shoes. Get you a good view here of the pictures. Michael loved to play basketball. Every Saturday he followed his brothers, Larry and Ronnie, to the park, hoping that they would let him play. And if one of the guys who usually played with them didn't show, they always did. But there was one problem. His name was Mark, and he was the tallest boy on the court. "What's the matter, Mikey? Too short?" Mark flapped his arms in Michael's face. "Over here," shouted Larry. But when Michael threw the ball, Mark's long arms came out of nowhere and knocked the ball away. It flew into the hands of another player on Mark's team. He made the basket, and the game was over, just like that. Oops. Sorry, I skipped a page here. "I am really sorry, guys. If I were taller, that wouldn't have happened." All the way home, Michael apologized, even though no one was mad at him. His oldest brother, Ronnie, tried to cheer him up. "Look, little brother, you played good today. Don't worry, we'll win the next time." When they got home, Michael went into the kitchen where Mama was cooking dinner. He was still disappointed, and she could tell. "You guys lost again today, huh?" Michael nodded. He sat quietly for a minute, then said, "Mama, how can I grow taller?" Now, Mama knew the answer to a lot of questions, but this was a tough one. She thought for a moment as she sprinkled salt and pepper on the chicken she was making for dinner. Then she smiled, looked at Michael, and said, "Salt." "Salt?" Michael looked at his mama. "Salt in your shoes. We'll put salt in your shoes and say a prayer every night. Before you know it, you'll be taller," she replied. "Salt in my shoes?" Michael said quietly to himself. Surely Mama was teasing. He sat staring out the window, trying to figure out how salt was going to help him grow. He noticed the rose bushes outside in Mama's garden. They had grown high along the fence, and roses of all colors were blooming on the vines. He thought to himself, I remember when Mama first planted those bushes. Michael's face lit up. If Mama knows how to make the rose bushes grow taller, then maybe she's right. Maybe salt in my shoes will help me grow. Growing more excited, Michael twirled around and started asking lots of questions. Mama, how long will it take? And how tall do you think I'll get? Smiling, Mama sat down next to him and explained. In order for this to work, the most important thing you have to do are be patient and listen to what I tell you and say your prayers every night. Listening carefully, Michael shook his head. Okay, Mama, I'll be patient, but what does saying my prayers have to do with it? Everything, Mama replied as she hugged him. Now go wash up and tell your brothers and sisters to get ready for dinner. Michael dashed out of the kitchen, almost knocking over his father, who was walking in. What's he up to now? Asked Daddy. Oh, the usual, laughed Mama. Chasing a dream. Later during dinner, Mama noticed that Michael was barely eating anything. He was already daydreaming about being taller. Michael, first things first. You won't grow if you don't eat, especially your vegetables, Mama said. But I'm really not hungry. I'm not really hungry, he said. Raising her eyebrows, Mama gave him a stern look. Slowly, he began to eat. Moments later, his plate was clean and he was asking for more. That evening at bedtime, Michael set his favorite game shoes on the floor next to the growth chart hanging on the wall. Then he put on his pajamas, said his prayers, and jumped into bed. When Mama came in, Michael was fast asleep. By the look on his face, she could tell he was already playing basketball in his dreams. Standing by his bed, Mama sprinkled salt in his shoes. Then she prayed quietly over him, as she did for all her children. Dear God, please help Michael be the best he can be, and to give his best at whatever he does. And Lord, could you please make him just a little bit taller tomorrow than he is today? Thank you. Amen. After that night, Michael wore his favorite game shoes everywhere he went, even to church. And he stopped going to the park with his brothers on Saturdays. Instead, he stayed home and practiced. He wanted to grow a few more inches before he went back to the park. After 2 months of practicing and waiting patiently and praying, Michael stood next to the growth chart on his wall. Nothing. He hadn't grown an inch. He was disappointed. But he did not stop believing. I've just got to give it time, like Mama said, Michael thought to himself. And that's what he did. 2 more months of practicing went by, and still nothing. Now Michael was becoming a little sad. Not only had he not grown 1 inch, but he also missed playing basketball with Larry and Ronnie. About the only thing he didn't miss was being picked on by Mark. When the next Saturday came, his brothers tried to get Michael to go with them to the park, but he wouldn't budge. Mama had begun to worry. When she saw Michael sitting alone on the steps, she said to Daddy, "Maybe you should go out and talk to him." So Daddy went out and sat with Michael. "What's wrong, son? You haven't gone to the park with your brothers for a while now. Are you okay?" Michael didn't say anything at first. Then he looked at Dad and said, "I thought I would at least be a few inches taller by now. I did everything Mama told me to do, but nothing's happened." "Michael, why do you want to be taller?" Daddy asked. "If I were taller, I'd be a great player, and I could help our team win," Michael answered. "But you are a great player, son, and you already have everything it takes to be a winner right in here. Daddy tapped Michael on his chest. Being taller may help you play a little better, but not as much as practice, determination, and giving your best, Will. Those are the things that make you a real winner. Michael thought about what Daddy said for a minute. Then suddenly, he jumped up and took off. Where are you going? Daddy yelled after him. I've got a game today, and I'm late. When Michael reached the park, the game had started. He sat on the bench, hoping he would get a chance to play. And he did. The game was almost over, and the score was tied when John, one of the guys on Michael's team, fell and hurt himself. Here was Michael's chance. Michael joined his team in the huddle as they gathered on the sideline for a timeout. Okay, the game is tied. All we need is 1 point. Who wants to take the shot? Ronnie asked as he looked in Michael's direction. Feeling more confident than ever, Michael said, I'll do it. When the whistle blew and the game began again, Mark began to pick on Michael as usual. Still trying to play with the big boys, huh? Mark taunted. But Michael paid him no attention. Taller or not, he had been practicing, and today he was determined to win. Larry threw the ball inbounds to Michael. Michael caught it, bounced it for a moment, then took off running. As he approached Mark, Michael shifted to his right. Mark followed, but while he was still shifting, Michael spun to his left and stepped behind Mark and shot the ball arced far above his opponent's hand and fell silently through the hoop. 2 points. The game was over. Michael's team had won. It was just as Michael had dreamed. When he realized what he had done, Michael took off running and didn't stop until he had reached home. Busting through the door, he shouted, I did it, Daddy! I did it! I shot right over the tall guy's head and we won the game! Running in behind him, Ronnie and Larry joined the celebration. That's right, little brother. You did it. You won the game for us. Michael remembered the look that Ronnie gave him during the last time out of the game and said, No, we won, but I was the star. They all laughed. After that day, Mama stopped putting salt in Michael's shoes. But Michael did not stop being patient and working hard and praying. So that must be what made Michael grow to be a 6 6 inch tall basketball superstar. All right, so that is the end of Salt in His Shoes. If you heard some interesting noises, it was my son over here drinking his drink while I was trying to read. So he came in. Okay, our next book is Waiting for Pumpsie. So this book, again, is kind of back in a different time, a different era, I should say. But I glanced through it, and it still looked like a good book. Also, I had looked up a while back, a few weeks ago or so, about picture books that were good for middle schoolers. So this was on the list, so I thought I'd give it a try. Waiting for Pumpsie was available at our local library. All right, Waiting for Pumpsie by Barry Wittenstein. No one come over here, bud, so you're not in the video. Just listen to the story, bud. All right. I'm Bernard, and I'm crazy, crazy, crazy about the Red Sox. Everybody in Boston is. It's just something you get born into. We're lucky, I guess. We always want the Sox to win, but Mama says we gotta root for all the colored players, no matter what team they're on. How come the Giants got Willie Mays and Jackie Robinson retired from the Dodgers, but we still don't have a Negro player? I asked Papa. That's a good question, Papa says. It's an excellent question. Trying to give you guys a better view here. Every year we go to a game at Fenway Park. There's no place in the whole world like it. Men with funny hats and aprons yell, "Get your Cracker Jack!" The left field wall even has a name, the Green Monster. I'm not kidding. Last year, we saw the Sox play the Yankees. Papa complained that they had only one Negro player, but I said, "It's one more than we got." That player, Elston Howard, hit a single to put the Yanks up 1-0 in the second inning. My sister Lisa and I jumped up and screamed. Two men behind us yelled, "Sit down and shut up." I should have warned you guys about some of the vocabulary being used here. Mama and Papa sprung up real fast. One man said a bad word. Mama pointed a finger in his face. "Who do you think you're talking to?" she said. The policeman came over. He said, "You people need to learn how to behave," he said to us. I don't ask Mama and Papa anymore why more colored people don't come to Fenway. I'm old enough now to know. Nolan, you're shaking me and shaking the table, bud. So the camera's shaking when you do that. "Change is coming real soon, son," Mama said, like she could see the future. "Is she right?" I asked Papa. He laughed. "Your mama's always right." Then we all laughed, especially Mama. Besides, the Celtics already got a Negro star, Bill Russell and K.C. Jones. Even the Bruins, our hockey team, have a colored player. So why not the Sox? During spring training, we hear about this Negro in the minor leagues, Pumpsie Green. What a name. What a great name. Papa says he's the best rookie. Every Sunday I pray for him to make the lineup. Opening day is almost here. Maybe I don't pray hard enough, because at the last minute they tell him, "Sorry, Pumps, you're not ready." "Makes no sense," Papa says, shaking his head. "The owner doesn't want colored players on his team. This proves it." "I don't think it'll ever happen," I say. Papa's big arms pull me in. "We waited this long, Bernard. What's a little longer?" Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. The Sox are dropping like a rock into last place. Papa's newspaper says important colored and white folks are getting mighty angry. They all say Pumpsie deserves a chance. Finally, one sticky July day, my prayers are answered. The Sox tell him, "Pumps, pack your bags. You made it." They are playing a night game in Chicago. We huddle around the radio. Mama makes popcorn to make it feel like we're at Fenway. We listen real hard, but we don't hear Pumpsie's name. "Maybe he'll come in later," Papa says, smiling when he sees our long faces. The game enters the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings, and still no Pumpsie. Now Papa's expression changes. In the 8th inning, with the Red Sox down 2-1, the first batter hits a single. The man on the radio says, "Now running at first base?" We hold our breath. "Pumpsie Green!" "This is history," Mama shouts. "Do not forget this moment," Papa roars, wiping his eyes. "Never, ever, ever." "We promise." Lisa and I hug Mama and Papa like we just won prize money. I imagine Pumpsie taking a lead, rocking back and forth to distract the pitcher like Jackie Robinson used to do. The Sox make 1, 2, 3 outs. Pumpsie is stuck at first. No luck. We lose. Again. I'm not kidding. The next day, there's a picture in the newspaper of Ted Williams giving Pumpsie batting tips. I figured that if Teddy Ballgame wants to be Pumpsie's friend, maybe the Sox can start winning. The Red Sox play away games in Kansas City, then Cleveland, and finally Detroit. Whew! The night they land in Boston, newspaper men push and shove at the airport to snap pictures. Pop, pop, pop. It's like Pumpsie's a movie star. The next morning at breakfast, Papa surprises us. For once, the stands are packed with colored faces. In the first inning, Pumpsie heads to his position at second base. I hear a man yell, Get that Negro off the field." Mama tells us to ignore him. "Some people have hearts full of ignorance," she explains. Pumpsie makes a nifty pivot for a double play that ends the top of the first. Now it's Boston's turn to bat. Leading off for the Red Sox, number 12, Pumpsie Green. The announcer's voice echoes through Fenway. We're stomping our feet so much the stadium starts to shake. Pumpsie takes 2 practice swings. He digs in. The pitcher looks for a sign. He shakes his head. The pitcher winds up. Pumpsie pulls his bat back. The ball shoots out of the pitcher's hand like a rocket. Pumpsie swings. Whack! The ball climbs higher and higher. I think it's going to make it over the mean green monster. Nope, it clanks off the top of the wall and bounces back onto the field. Pumpsie rounds first base and runs like his own uniform can't keep up. The outfielder heaves the ball back in. Pumpsie slides, safe at third. Fenway goes crazy. I look over to where the man full of ignorance is sitting. He's gone. Lisa and I whoop even louder. The Sox win. After the game, I stop walking for a minute and turn around. I look at Fenway and the crowd and tell my eyes to take a picture. The bus is buzzing real loud on the ride back to Roxbury. People are asking if the Sox can get back into the pennant race now that we have Pumpsie. That gets me thinking, is he as good as Jackie? We pass people standing in front of the stores and on lawns. They're waving Red Sox flags and holding up the newspaper picture of Ted and Pumpsie. I can even hear chants of Pumpsie, Pumpsie, and car horns beep, beep, beeping. It's like New Year's Eve and 4th of July rolled into one. I'm not kidding. One day, I'll tell my kids how long we waited for Pumpsie Green. I'll tell them how he dug his heels into the batter's box. I'll tell them how I pretended it was me, Bernard, sliding into third. And I'll tell them it happened at Fenway Park, the most beautiful place in the world. Finally, just like Mama and Papa would say, finally. And that's the end. All right, so that's Waiting for Pumpsie. Again, please, 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 please vote in the comments. Or those of you that have my Facebook or Instagram, please vote Salt in His Shoes or Waiting for Pumpsie. And we will see who the winner is of this round. So again, I'll give it about 24 hours or sometime tomorrow, tally all the votes and put in our winner on this side. And then maybe we'll move down to the next bracket, or maybe we'll go to the bottom. I don't know. It depends on which books. Well, I have hard copies of most of these already, so I think I'm only missing one other book that I don't have a hard copy of out of all 16. So besides Salt in His Shoes. So thanks again for watching. Again, Mr. A here signing off. Please vote. Vote so I know who the winner is. Again, A Bad Case of Stripes was our very first winner. So now on the other side of the bracket, let's see who wins. Salt in His Shoes or Waiting for Pumpsie. Thanks again. If you liked the video, please watch again tomorrow because I will be doing the next 2 books tomorrow. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see how this whole thing plays out here in March while we are in quarantine here, I guess, or well, whatever they call it. Here in the county, we are mandated to shelter in place. That's what the words are, shelter in place. So while that lasts, I will continue to read and until we get a champion on our bracket here. So thanks again. See you guys tomorrow.